Hi, welcome to the Scraps of Encouragement Beginner Series for card makers. I'm Laura, and today we are going to do part 2 of our beginner series, and we are going to talk all about paper. Paper is the one thing that without a doubt you absolutely must have to make cards. So today we're going to talk about why the quality of your paper matters, what the different sizes of cards that you might be making are, and where to pick up those card bases pre-made or how to make them yourself. We're going to talk about how to know what kind of paper to use when do you want to use a heavy cardstock, when do you want to use a light cardstock, and so on. We're going to talk about DSP. You might say, what is DSP? We're going to learn all about that. And we're going to talk about memories and more cards, which are another great paper product that you'll want to know about and have in your arsenal for quick and easy cards. So why don't we head on over to the craft desk and get started. We're going to talk about paper today. And the thing with card making is that a lot of times when we're talking about paper, we're not talking paper like your printer paper or construction paper. While you can use all of those things to make cards, and I'm sure that your cards will be beautiful and your recipients would love them, what we're talking about in these card classes is cardstock. And just like any other art or craft, your finished product will greatly be affected by the tools and the resources that you use. So a good quality cardstock is really important when you are making cards. So cardstock comes in a variety of colors and a variety of weights. So at Stampin Up, we have a line of cardstocks. These are our typical colors that stay in and we carry them. You can see colors that cover the whole entire rainbow. And then Stampin' Up! Also has 5 new colors that come in every year and stay around for 2 years. So there's always 10 colors called the in colors as well. And these colors will coordinate with the ink, the markers, the DSP, which we'll talk more about later, and it'll coordinate beautifully. So that quality cardstock matched with the coordination, the color coordination, is really going to make your card making so much easier, and it's going to make your end product just be wow and amazing. So in general, when you're talking cardstock and paper, you can use any of these colored papers or any of these things. However, knowing which paper to use when can go a really long way. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is we do have our colored cardstock, which you can stamp on. You can use to add color to your projects. You can use it for layers. You can use it as your card bases. You can use this however you want to add color to your projects. Then we have 2 different thicknesses of both the Very Vanilla and the Whisper White cardstock. So these are kind of your base colors, and you can see they're pretty similar. Very Vanilla is more of an off-white, and Whisper White is more of like a bright white. What you use completely depends on your preference. Some people use Very Vanilla almost exclusively, while others, like myself, I almost always use the Whisper White. There's times that I want to reach for the Very Vanilla for sure, but I tend to lean more towards the Whisper White, but that's just totally your preference. So if you have never held the Whisper White or the Very Vanilla cardstock, they are so smooth and they feel almost silky. And the reason for this is that these surfaces are really great for stamping, which makes sense, right? Because we're going to be stamping for a lot of our cards. And so these surfaces are really kind of optimized for stamping and just for taking ink on them in general. So if you're coloring, if you are stamping, you will want to use these papers. Now, that being said, some people do prefer to color on the thick Whisper White cardstock with their blends, but you can just test them out and see what you like. I haven't decided yet. I kind of go back and forth between the two. I'm tending to lean more towards coloring with the thinner Whisper White, but that's totally your choice. And then we also have the thick cardstock, and it's not quite double in thickness, but almost. And so this one is a little bit thicker, where you can see that one, and then where this one So you see that difference? So this thick cardstock, which comes, like I said, in Whisper White and Very Vanilla, makes an excellent card base. And I'll tell you in just a minute how to cut it to get the right size for your card base. But this is perfect for a base for your card. This is also really good if you're going to be cutting out elements and popping them up and they need to have more structure to them to hold their shape. This is another really good option for that. And another thing that I wanted to throw in that you'll want to be aware of is watercolor paper. So anytime that you're doing any watercoloring, any techniques that require a lot of water, or even if you're using something like a blender pen and you're using it a lot, you are going to want to have watercolor paper. If you try to use any of the other cardstock, you're going to get some pilling of your paper. It's just really going to rip up your paper and make a mess. So if you're going to use a lot of water on any of your techniques, you can use watercolor. Now, with this watercolor paper, you can make card bases, you can cut them out, you can cut out a panel and glue it onto your card base. So you're really not limited, but you will definitely want watercolor paper as well. This is a standard 8.5 by 11 inch paper, and I say standard, I realize that that is different in different parts of the world, but for the United States, this is a standard size sheet of paper. And if you cut it in half down the middle right here, you will cut it at 5, you'll have a paper cutter, you will need a paper cutter, and you will cut it at 5.5 inches. You're going to end up with 2 halves that look just like this. And when you take that half and you fold it, and then you take a bone folder, crease it at the fold, you will end up with a card. This is an A2 size card, which is a standard size card. This will end up at a 4.25 by 5.5 inch card base that you can either open like this, or you can turn it this way and open it like this. And one piece of cardstock will get you 2 card bases. And then with this, you can go ahead and order envelopes in the same size. Now these come in either Whisper White or Very Vanilla, and they're a really good stamping material as well, so you can decorate your envelope as well as your card. Now the other way that you can get a card base from this cardstock is to cut your paper in half from the short side, and this will be cut at 4 1/4 inch. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your paper and fold it in half, and you are going to use your bone folder to score it. And this card you can open like this, or you can open it like this. Now say you don't want to make your card bases, you want things that are pre-made. There are several sizes that Stampin' Up! Will offer, and some of them change and some of them don't. One size that I use quite often is the 3.5 by 5 inch note card, and they come in a pack of 20 with envelopes, and these will come pre-scored for you. Do you see that line there in the middle? Let's see if I can see that. See how that's scored? On one side it bumps up like a mountain, and on the other side it's a little harder to see on camera. There we go. It dips down like a valley. When you fold this paper, you're gonna fold up. I'm trying to catch it again. There. You're gonna fold up and go over the mountain, and then you're going to score it. Now this ends up at 3.5 by 5 inches, which is a standard note card size. This is also the smallest size card that you can send through the mail without having to pay any extra postage. So this is a great one to send in the mail and to give in person and just kind of do all sorts of things. When I do my simple stamping Mondays, a lot of times I'll start with a note card that is 3.5 by 5 inches. So another pack that I wanted to really bring your attention to, there are other sizes that are available, and you can totally check those out and look at what sizes might work well for your project. But these are the Memory and More cards, and these come 22 a pack. There are 10 of the small size with matching envelopes, which I have here, and there are 10 of the larger size with the matching envelopes here. So when you fold the smaller size down, you will end up with a card that is 4.5 by 6.5 inches, and you can fold this either way. These are perfect to give gift cards. They're perfect to go with gifts. If you're hand delivering, say you made some food for someone, or you're giving someone flowers, or you're just hand delivering a message, these are perfect for that. It will cost extra to send these through the mail because they're so small, but they're perfect for in-person giving for just about any occasion. And then there are these larger cards, which can go through the mail just fine. You don't have to pay any extra postage. When these are folded, they end up to be 4.5 by 6.5 inches. So you can use them as a card this way or a card this way. And if you're someone who likes to do a lot with pictures, and you'll see a lot more how this ties in later, if you're someone who likes to do a lot with pictures, you can take a 4x6 photo and stick it on here and make that be a card for someone as well. So that is a little bit about the card bases and the card sizes and what you're going to do to kind of make your card base, the thing that holds your whole card together, the thing that really is your card. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about DSP. DSP stands for Designer Series Paper, and these are your papers that are going to add so much life and be so much fun in your card projects. So Designer Series paper comes in two sizes. You can get this 6x6 size, or this big size I can't fit on my camera that is 12 by 12. And the great thing about the 12 by 12 paper is if you cut it at 4 inches and 4 inches and 4 inches, and then you cut it at 5 1/4 and 5 1/4, you end up with lots and lots of potential to make backgrounds for your cards. There's lots of things that you can do. If you search online, and some on this website, you'll find things called a one-sheet wonder, and it shows you ways that you can quickly and easily cut up one piece of 12 by 12 paper. I think you can even find them for 6x6 paper, and turn it into a bunch of cards. So this is a really awesome option. So when you have a 12 by 12 paper stack is usually what they're called, and each paper is going to have one design on the front and one design on the back, and you'll get multiples of each design. The amount of each design and color and everything will depend on the particular paper that you'll get, and it'll definitely tell you in the description how many you're going to get of each design, but there will be one on the front and one on the back. This is true of all the Designer Series paper. Now the great thing about that is that if you don't like the design on one side, that's totally fine. You can just use the design on the other. And the same is true for the 12 by 12 paper. One thing that is really neat about this though is that you'll often notice that with most of the papers, there will be a design on the front that's really bold, that really stands out, that's usually a lot brighter and just a lot bigger of a print as well. But when you turn it over, typically the back side is a lot softer, a lot more muted, and different people have different preferences. Different cards will call for different types of designs. And one thing that's really cool is that you can use this design on your paper, and you can flip your paper over, and this design coordinates with the design on the other side. So you can use these two patterns together to make a really nice card. So that's another thing that makes card making really easy. And I'm going to show you in this particular pack what it looks like on the front and back, so you can kind of see how this works. So here's the front of this one, and this is the back. And each pack typically will come with two of each design. So that way you don't have to decide if you want to use just the front or just the back. You'll have access to both, so you can use each one fully if you would like. So here's this one, and here is the back. So these two could be used together very well. Here is another one where you've got your brighter, bolder pattern with the back that is a little bit softer of a pattern. You'll have your bolder pattern here. Actually, these are both pretty bold. So sometimes that does happen, but these also work really well together. Then here you have your bolder pattern, and you have your more muted pattern. And then one thing you'll notice too is, like I said, all of these papers coordinate. So if you look here, you'll see with this that comes with it, it'll list all of the colors that coordinate. So you know that if you pick any of these inks or any of these cardstocks, they're going to match with your designer series paper, which again is going to help you get amazing looking cards. These are just a few cards that I wanted to show you just to see a little bit about how you can use some designer series paper. There's so much more you can do with it than this. You can use it for small pops of color. In this case, some designer series paper was used as the background for the card. Here's another one where it was used as the background of the card with elements added. And you can see here how the colored cardstock is used to add layers and all kinds of things to the card. This is one little note card where the designer series paper was used pretty much for the main thing of the card with just a little sentiment added on. But you can see how adding some designer series paper can really give you lots more options with your crafts. So the last thing I want to talk to you about today is something a little bit different. These are papers that are cards actually, and they are from our Memories and More card packs. Now these are awesome because they're dual purpose. So whether or not you are a scrapbooker or if you like to keep memories in a project lifestyle journal, or if you like to make cards, these are perfect. So what these are is you'll get a pack of 50 cards, and the cards are 4x6 and 2x3, and they all are double-sided, and you'll get 2 of each like you see here. Now these are perfect if you are a scrapbooker. This is too big to fit on my camera, but these are perfect for scrapbookers, whether you use the bigger 12x12 or the smaller 6x8. These can fit in the sectioned sheet protectors, so you can put photos in here as well, your 4x6 photos. These have places for you to journal on them, but they're also perfect for card making. As you can see here, a lot of these, for example, this side is a great journaling card that would be perfect for memory keeping, but if you turn it over, you can use this as a background for a card. Same here. This side would be perfect for journaling or memory keeping, but if you look on this side, this would be perfect to put on the front of a card as well. So these will come with 50 of these cards, front and back, and they will come with sticker sheets as well. So here's 2 of each sticker sheet, and so these are going to be great to add sentiments to your cards or your memory keeping, and just to add little embellishes and kind of perk things up a bit. And all of these sets usually come with some kind of specialty cards as well. So like in this kit, I'm going to grab a color and put them on top so you can see. You get some laser cut ones, sometimes you get shiny ones. It just depends on what goes with the set. So in this case, if you put colored cardstock on the base of your card and put a sentiment right across the top, you're going to have a beautiful card right there. And you can use the white side or the other side. You can use these as stencils. There is just, the possibilities are really limitless with what you can do with these basic paper supplies. And they're just a lot of fun. And one thing I love about these is they're great for beginners because you can throw together quick cards that are nice and easy. I'm going to show you a few that I did. This one, I just took one of the small Memories and More cards and put it on my small Memories and More card base. I added a sticker with a sentiment, and that's it. My card is ready. Here's another one that I used. These packs will usually come with suites. So a suite of products means that there's matching designer series paper, stamps, there's usually a punch or a die cut, there's embellishments that go with it, and all those things go together, and there's often a Memories and More card pack. So this Memories and More card pack coordinates with some of the designer series paper, and so I used those together on a standard size card base, and made this quick and easy card. And this is another card I made and I put on the Memories and More card bases, which I had mentioned earlier, and I just stuck it right on there. I used a little bit of twine and a little embellishment and a stamp, and then my card is complete. So the Memories and More can be a great way to add designer series paper style without such a big huge pack of paper, and it can also make the cards pretty easy and easy to embellish if you're working with them in the beginning. So that can be a really great way to start. I also just love to use these to make quick and easy cards. So that wraps up everything that we have on paper. I hope that makes things clear for you and a little bit easier. If you have any questions throughout this series, feel free to leave your questions in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. You may also shoot me an email at laura@scrapsoфencouragement.com. And be sure to go back and check our other videos in the series if you have missed them, so that you can learn everything you know to get started making cards without any fuss. And as always, I hope you find joy in creating as you spread kindness and encouragement with your scraps of paper. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.